get myself hydrated.
And I'm going to be supplementing myself with some coffee. Welcome back to episode 59. We are talking about supplements in our themed podcast this week. Kyrin, good to see you again.
Yes, as always, good to see you.
I'm going to get us started with the mere mortal moment of the week. Now, I'm going to align it a little bit to what I did to my busy week. Always say busy. Like I'm always like, oh, I'm having a busy week. And I wrote on our little board over there, I said, it is a choice. So when you say you're busy, it is just a choice that you're saying that. It's much more a misalignment with your priorities. So I talked to you about what I did last week. Tuesday morning, I said, okay, I'm going to just pause after my workout session in the morning and I'm just going to step back, go watch sunrise with a coffee and just relax and think about goals and all this sort of stuff. And it was one of the best things that I could have possibly done to just step away and take that hour out of my day where I thought it was always busy by prioritizing thinking about goals and things I'm planning to do in the short term. Just made like a world of difference, both for the goals, but also for like my attitude to the week. So it kind of reminds me of the saying where, you know, the people who say that they don't have time to meditate are the people who most need the time to meditate.
Yeah. If you don't have 20 minutes to meditate, then you should do it for an hour.
Yes, exactly. So I really thrived on that hour that I took away from being what I would call busy. But I pivoted and said that I prioritized certain things, which are actually quite important, and they just set for a great week that I had. So pivoted to a great week. That's my word. That's my word of 2020. Pivot.
Yeah, for sure. I don't remember you ever using it before.
I think I started using it a couple of years ago because in like the agile terminology, pivoting is like a strong word that gets said.
Okay.
And I think Gary also says it, so it started to come into my normal speech patterns.
Well, that actually sort of links to my mere mortal moment, which is you are what you consume, both literally and figuratively. So if you're eating crap, don't be surprised if you feel crap. And also if you're consuming stuff, and most of them talking about video or content in this sense, if it's bull crap, you're probably going to feel crap as well. So I did some painting this week, and what I used to do, and I used to stretch for like 3 hours. Now I only do it for like half an hour a day. And same with the painting. Like I'd paint for, 5-6 hours a day, and I'd just listen to podcasts that whole time.
Yep.
And it was really good because what I would do is I'd just put on a like series, and then I would just go through it. And so I did that this week. And it was really good just to get back into podcasts. I was listening to the artificial intelligence one, which I've been talking about recently.
Yep.
And, that one's just pure, there's nothing controversial about it. It's just mostly like a dude sitting down with very smart, somewhat nerdy people and going into stuff I have absolutely no idea about, but which I find interesting anyway. So they'll talk about like AI code, they'll talk about genetics, they'll talk about viruses and how they can create viruses and things like whatever.
Yep.
And I just noticed like it was a breath of fresh air compared to a lot of stuff I've been listening to recently, which is more cultural news stuff that's happening right now. And that's more the negative things, like social media is super bad and these are some of the problems with it.
We're all going
the coronavirus, the whatever. Yeah, so that was just a little reminder for me. Consuming, make sure think about the sources that you're taking it from, and both eating wise and mentally wise. So that's my little mere mortal moment.
Nice, I like it. So today we're going to be talking about supplements, supplementation.
And why? What was the reason, Juan? You're the one who drove this podcast.
Two things. So one, in my past life, I did work at a supplement shop. I was around there for a long time. And I also went through the period of being a gym goer that you kind of like start up and you're like, oh, supplements are the thing. And I thought it'd probably be a topic that I could talk about quite a bit.
Yeah. If you actually go on to Juan's Facebook, it still says he works at Supplement Den.
Does it still say that?
It does.
Oh, man. That's how much I'm updating Facebook.
Yeah.
But personally. But yeah, so I thought that. And there was a couple of other tidbits I started thinking about where it comes to supplementing, not just in fitness space, but just like a general health / mental aptitude / couple of other areas. So I thought, cool, I'd ask a question. And I also wanted to post a question I think we might have spoken about before, but I've talked to other people just to see what your mentality is behind supplements. So let's define them, right? Define it. Good. So supplements, it's a thing added to something else in order to complete or enhance it. So it's something that you add, right? It isn't a complete replacement. It's a supplemental or additional item.
And so just the difference between those two, when you think of a supplement, do you think it as more of something to make up for a deficiency? So there's like a baseline level or whatever. There's a level that you should be at and you're beneath it, or more the enhancing side, as in like you're already maybe at this level, but having more of it's going to make you better.
I think both.
Yeah.
I think there's room for both. So there's like your branched chain amino acids. There's some that your body actually does create. There's some that you doesn't. Like you actually literally have to supplement for them, or your body doesn't produce it. You don't get it generally from general food. So you can make the discussion for both. But in the primary, I think, means that I started to look at it, and I probably think about it now, is supplements is something that just enhances what's already existing as base, and base here being food intake, or going to out in the sun, as opposed to just like supplementing with vitamin D or something just to be able to get extra vitamin D, right? So there's sort of a base, you'd call it like natural way to get that, and then there's like a supplemental way that you can get that. So I guess if I had to define it, supplement is to go beyond like a natural way to obtain it.
Yeah,
because there is some things that you don't naturally create, so you would supplement, and that would be kind of needed.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So I don't know if you had any different definition to this one.
No, pretty much exactly the same. It was just, I suppose for me, I would always, if I was ever going to take something as a supplement, I probably would be, more doing it just to make up for a deficiency rather than pushing beyond, I guess, what is like the average level into something that might make me like way better, for example, just because I think my sort of general philosophy is if you're pushing like too hard or too fast or whatever, there's going to be a downside at some point in the future. So that's sort of my general philosophy, and it works well enough for the moment. But
okay,
prove me wrong. Prove me why I'm doing stupid shit.
So I was going to get into, I guess, to describe my personal journey with supplements, right? But I want to hear from you first of all.
Yeah,
because yours might be a little shorter.
Mine's a lot shorter. So the only time I've ever really taken stuff, so very similar thing, when you first start the gym, you think, I have to take protein. I have to take whatever. I don't know where that comes from, probably just because the first videos you start seeing, the first research you do, however you do it,
protein,
they're all going to say protein. Yep. So I did exactly that. I bought like a massive tub of Musashi protein powder. Didn't particularly enjoy the flavor, and I took it until I finished it, and then I think I was like, you know what? I don't really need this. My problem was I didn't really learn from that, and so my first 2 years of gym, 2 to 3 years of gym, I was definitely not eating enough in general to really being able to let my body put on weight. So I built some muscle, but it was very hard fought for muscle. Yeah. I did try a multivitamin and like krill oil or fish oil at some point, just because around the same period I was getting interested in that and was like improving my health basically. And these were things that were recommended. I just remember that one of the first times after I think I took the multivitamin for like 2 or 3 days. And then I went to the toilet and I just had this neon stream coming out. It's like I'd just been to a rave or something. And that freaked me the hell out. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Did you end up figuring out what it was?
I researched it and then found like, it was basically just the excess stuff that my body didn't need.
I believe, I think exactly it's the excess riboflavins that your body doesn't, you essentially have too much B12 taken in, and that just produces really highlight P essentially. So, and that gives you an indication that you're literally pissing away the supplement you're taking.
Exactly. So I took that for a while. I didn't feel any different, to be honest, like any difference. Same with the krill oil. I don't know. I was young, man. Like I don't think you really need to take it when you're how old I was, 20. Yep. Just because like you can pretty much do anything when you're 20. So that's, I think, the only things I've ever really supplemented with.
And now?
Now, nothing. Like I eat food. I guess you could say like I supplement stuff by eating stuff I wouldn't normally eat. Just so, for example, I know broccoli has magnesium in it. I don't enjoy broccoli to eat but I
you'll add
will
it.
every now and then add some in just to be like, oh, okay, like I know this is sort of good for me at some point. So
And it is the interesting one because when you're talking about supplements, everybody thinks of like protein, right? Protein fitness. And it is highly, we're going to be talking a lot about that. We've got a couple of questions that'll expand it out maybe into the mental space. But you go back to the definition, right? It's something that you add to enhance it, to complete something. So you can also talk about, supplement with broccoli. You supplement with, coffee. Well, coffee is an actual supplement if you want to really call it that way, right? So if you do need more energy, you can go down that path. So don't be just particularly aligned to like a supplement is a little pill or protein, right? It can be much more expanded if you think about it that way.
Yeah, I think it's easier to think about it that way because, you start going down weird paths where it's like, am I supplementing my fitness by walking or whatever? And it's like, okay, you sort of just expanding the topic so far that you can't talk about it, I guess. So for me, it's definitely way easier to think of a pill of vitamins, of protein, of things like that.
Okay. Interesting. So nothing now is it. So it's good. So it's good to see that progress. And that might be, I guess, probably the general view of most individuals out there, right? Who kind of are a little bit fitness orientated, but, aren't going like deep down the rabbit hole of supplements, right? Just what we generally consider. Well, I'll wind back for my story, right? Yeah. So it all began, started working out. And again, similarly, maybe a year or two into it, I'd be like, oh, okay, time for some protein. One. Oh, this would have been more like 18-year-old one. 18-year-old. That was when I was like, okay, I want to get bigger. I want to get stronger. It's protein time. So I think around that time, I started having like, I'll have a protein. And it was just the usual protein with milk after a workout. Then I started working at the actual supplement den that I trained at a particular gym that was right next to a supplement shop. Used to go there quite a lot. One day I just decided to go in there and kind of ask, I believe for a job, maybe when I was 18 or 19. And I got the job in essence, which is great fun. Now, about that point, I started being like, oh, okay, there's obviously much more supplements that I can learn about and use. Mm-hmm. And that's where things like, people start talking about the other basics, like creatine for, energy production, like extra energy production when you're training. And then you start looking at your pre-workouts or your intra-workouts and your nighttime proteins and X, Y, Z, right? So there was like a bit of a double whammy. So I started working in a supplement shop. So I kind of started having to know all the products and what they were for. And at the same time, I was able to have access to a lot of them to be like, I start buying everything. So there was a period of time, and I think this was before I did my competition, where maybe like a year beforehand, where I was able to have like all the variations of like, or was a light protein, essentially like a lean protein, a bulking protein, a acetyl-L-carnitine for like fat loss pills that you could have like pre-workout, intra-workout, post-workout, carbohydrates, all this. You could just go
pre-post workout, nighttime workout,
now
sleep workout.
Yes, fortunately for me, I was able to buy them either like very, very cheap, or just have them because they were available during the time working at the shop. At the same time, I don't know if I've told you about this, I used to run a website that I created on my spare time during that time because I just had time. It was called Supplement Land.
Okay.
And I had created, so this was, when I was 19 years old, I created a couple of videos on YouTube of like workouts / like supplements. I created like advertising for supplements. It was like 40 blog posts of different supplements I had reviewed, gone through.
Nice.
And I think at the time I'd actually done it to be like, I'll create like a supplement review site before supplement review sites really existed.
Yeah, wow.
So I created it all and I did it for like half a year and then I just kind of like forgot about it. But I still have a shirt to this day that I created for Supplement Land.
Nice.
So I was deep in the supplement world, right?
Does that website exist anywhere? Like,
it was literally supplementland.com.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't exist because I let it just expire. So I've probably already taken the website, right? Yeah. So anyways, I was deep, right? I knew about supplements. I knew about supplements. And if I had to like guesstimate, if I actually was paying full price for it at that day, it would have been on the order of, I don't know, like $1,000 a month, I reckon. Yeah. If I was really paying fully. Now, I wasn't doing that at all. It was much more freely available for me, which was great. But then let's fast forward it now. When I look back at that time to where I am now, where now I sort of having pre-workout, intra-workout, sort of like mixed in one, really. I just have it beforehand. Protein and creatine, right? And that's, in essence, that's it.
Yeah.
I want to compare that to what I was having all the way back then. The biggest comparison I see is like, well, now my eatings slightly better. I'm not going to say it's like the best because I eat still very, I wouldn't say rubbish, but I'd say it's very free. If you were to imagine like what's a really healthy like lifestyle of eating, mine is not that. Okay. It's close to that. But if I compare it to like the amount of supplements I'm having now to then, there's virtually no changes to like my capability for fitness, my capability for energy. In fact, now it's probably a lot better than it was then. And it's a 10th of the price really for supplements. I still would say, having supplementation of protein, supplementation of say creatine and pre-workout, intra-workout that you would need, whether that's literally just coffee or like an actual powder because it tastes nice. It has a couple of other things that do actually work. That to me would be like, okay, that's baseline if you're like really committed. But as you say, you could totally do away with it if you're having enough protein through food. Or if you're like a generally energetic person, you don't need intra-workout. Just like you could just go off coffee and just gonna build yourself up to a person. You don't need that. Totally fine as well. So now I've run the gamut to all the way down to the deep hole of like all the various supplements you can have. Like literally you could just go for anything.
Yeah.
And if you believe all the supplement companies, you could buy all of their products and have like be thousands of dollars deep into it now and then come back up and then be like, whatever. I will call out as well as we're talking about this that I am sponsored as well by a supplement company, Mac Fitness. So I'm not even dissing supplements because I'm not even attached. Like I actually have someone that could give me supplements and work with them, and still I'll only just go for those specific ones because that's
the basics.
The basic things that I don't need anymore. But if out there you want to try, you got the money, sure. But just as you were saying, if you're pissing like highlight yellow
all away,
you're going to be like hundreds of dollars down the drain.
So I got a question of those, I guess. So how would you know they were working? How did you know? Like, what was the reasoning process? I guess getting into them and stepping away from the peak as well.
Well, so my reasoning was that by research, it proved like it would be something that would work.
Yeah.
And looking into it, so you look at creatine, right? So creatine, there's been numerous clinical trials, very few safety concerns. It actually provides really like there's so many things about it, how it's like good, right? For strength, for power, blah, blah, blah. Great. So you're like, okay, definitely should have that. But then you start looking into a pre-workout. It's got like ashwagandha. It's got this, that for energy. Oh, awesome. I got to take that. Then it's like, oh, there's this test booster that's, clinically proven to be 70% better for you. Oh, got to get that. Subcut, it helps you with your fat loss. Try that. And then you can go to every single product and find these things and then kind of mentally be like, oh yeah, this can help me. Yeah, this can help me. So that's the theoretical side of things. I think that's how I got drawn to, this is going to work. But in terms of measuring the actual benefit, I didn't. There was no measurable benefit that I didn't measure if there was going to be a benefit. I think only once or twice when I was having like creatine and a particular post-workout from GAT that I was like, I'll check like my actual strength gauge. And there was some, but would they been up there if I didn't take them? Probably, right? Maybe slightly by 1 or 2%. And did that really matter to me then? Probably not. Like, one of those products is going to cost you $80 for a month. Like, and if it's going to be 1%, is it really going to be meaningful or not? So I think people can get really drawn into supplements by the labels, what they say they're going to do. Like these trials where it's like it's 120% plus, blah, 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 with fat burners, right? Fat burners are really expensive. Like really, really expensive. And people go like, I'll just have this pill for 30 days and I'll lose 4 kilos, 10 kilos by the end of the week, end of the month. But then they won't change anything about the food. They won't change any of their training regime. And sure, the fat burner probably is doing like 8%, 0.5% help. And literally the other 100%, is split between your training and your fit and your eating regime. And you're literally just thinking that supplementing is going to do the change. Like it's not. Like your actual base changes, measurable things you can be like, oh, that's massive improvement comes from everything else that's like naturally occurring. Same things you're talking about pre-workouts. I still have pre-workouts for most of my days, but I like cut it down to I probably have like a third of a scoop of a pre-workout, and it's even more now for just like the flavor as it is for anything else.
Yeah.
But people out there can get into the mindset of, oh well, no, I need it because I'm tired. Really to get myself motivated. To some extent, yes, but you can also think, okay, well, rather than spending $50 to $100 on a pre-workout for a month, is it perhaps you just need to sleep like an extra half an hour, or you need to do like a little pre-movement to kind of get you energized and moving, right? There's things you can actually do that doesn't require you to spend and have that supplemental thing. That's maybe just naturally there's something that's completely incorrect. And then one of the things I actually saw a lot. So when I was working there at a supplement shop, interacting with a lot of people, right? I would get a lot of people that would come in and say, oh, well, I want this and that, and I want to get this. And you'd often ask them like, what do you actually hear? Like, what are you actually trying to do? And the question, and like, they might be like, oh, I'm trying to bulk and lose weight and do this. And then have like, they were going to sell like $300. And I swear my boss would have hated me, but they're going to buy like $300 worth of product.
Yeah.
And I keep kind of asking like, okay, well, and how are you training? How's your eating? Oh, like, I haven't started training yet, but I think I'll go like once a week and maybe I'll run. But yeah, I'll start taking all this. The matter of fact is like, you're just adding, like, just because you're buying all these like $400 worth of products and, your protein, you're adding calories to your diet. Like, that's just what it is. Sure, the protein can help recover your muscles when you're breaking them down. But if you're not really training enough, you might as well just be drinking some milk. Like, you might as well just be eating whatever. It's not going to be that much beneficial to you as comparison to like a steak or something. But yeah, so it's people seem to think that supplements are like this magic pill when there's natural things or the basic things that you have to do that right first that can just prove like massively, massively beneficial in comparison.
Yeah, that's an interesting rabbit hole. So of the people that come into a supplement store, what percentage are, I suppose, serious athletes who you would say have
1%,
have
literally 1%
defined what they want and know what they're doing? How many are absolutely clueless, like you were saying, and just buy it for the pill? And how many are sort of in between the two, where they're not sure? What do you reckon the split would be of those?
Look, I'd probably say of the time that I served people there, I'd say like 1% were really top athletes. Like, you'd be like, oh, this dude's like a national runner, this girl's like a national athletics or anything like that. Then probably like 20% of people were like your regular gym goers more than that. I'd probably say like 80% of people were just regular gym goers, between like kind of dedicated people, like all the way to like me, like dedicated gym goers, all the way down to just like people who go 3 to 4 times a week. And then you get 19% of individuals who are brand new, didn't know what was going on. They just kind of were like, okay, I'm going to start training, and my personal trainer told me to come here and buy 3 tubs of protein and 2 pre-workouts.
Wow.
And so the 80%, they were fine, because they kind of, at the lower end, they kind of knew what they wanted. At the higher end, they kind of knew what they wanted. I think in general, everyone overbought anyways. Like, I would have overbought.
Yeah.
It's that top 1% where it's like those almost like awesome athletes, top level people, they're not taking that much. Which is interesting, right? Like, the majority of people are taking, but these top level people barely took anything. Like, we had, what's his name? James Newberry? Yeah, James Newberry. So he wasn't a supplement then, but he still is a ATP athlete. And so the guy who owned that supplement shop, Jeff Deutsch, he started ATP Science, which is now like a global supplement company going really well. Now, they sponsored all the way back then, James Newberry. And this guy, he's a CrossFit, so the games athlete. He won one of the rounds like 2 years ago and like smashed all the top guys there. So he's like super fit, super strong. And I believe he is a vegan. He's vegan now. And he doesn't have much supplements. He has like a bit of protein, essentially like an infrared, which is like an intra-workout kind of supplement. And he has maybe 3 or 4 other things. There's just like a bit of coffee, like a mixed coffee supplemental one, and something else. And that's it. But this dude's like one of the top like fitness people in the world, and barely takes anything. So there was those that I saw a couple of times at the shop where I was like, yeah, these people are barely taking anything, but they're other areas in their life, like sleeping, their mindset when it comes to it, it's just like intense, really well bedded down.
Yeah,
and they don't, so like for them to enhance that base level, they only need those little basic things to kind of just be like, okay, that's what gets them to like that extra couple of percentage, so it's worth it. Whereas the others, like, it's not even needed. Like, it's so unnecessary in comparison to their mindset or a good sleep.
Yeah, for sure.
So one of the things I was going to talk to you about was, so that's fitness related, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to expand a little bit. Let's go even broader. Supplements from a mindset perspective. Have you ever known about them? Like nootropics?
Okay, so when you say mindset, you're talking...
Oh, sorry, like a mental supplement.
Like mental clarity and mental improvement. I've not even looked into them. I've heard of Nootropics before. I haven't tried them. Yeah, you know what? That's probably something I should give a try at some point.
Yep.
My general philosophy is I try and avoid things that are too artificial. So I don't know if you know this, but when I had hair, I stopped using shampoo and conditioner.
Yep.
Because what I was noticing was my hair was, when I used that, it would get super soft.
Yep.
And then it was too soft. So then I'd immediately getting out of the shower, I'd start putting gel in to make it harder again.
Yeah.
And so I just reached this point where I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, is my hair actually that dirty? It's like, is it actually cleaning anything? What's wrong with the oils that are coming out of my scalp? Is that whatever?
Yep.
And so that's like just a general philosophy that I've sort of taken for lots of things now. So, yeah, like coffee, I don't particularly need it. So I just don't take it. Same with, I guess, like lots of things, toothpaste and gels and all sorts of shit. Like I just try and not touch stuff or get stuff on me as well.
Yep.
So that's like my general philosophy. So that, you know, it's a little bit risky because there are probably things out there which would enhance me or make my life better with probably zero or very little side effects.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried Nootropics?
Well, yeah. So there was one called, I can't remember the name of it, the supplement, and it was called like Brain Quicken, I think it was.
God.
Something like that, like
brain
brain something. Yeah, it's an interesting one. You know, I don't know if you know, just a side note, Tim Ferriss, before he wrote the 4-Hour Workweek, one of the companies he created that got him like quite wealthy was a brain, like a nootropic style supplement. Now this product, I was like, okay, I want to try it because friend at the time as well in the supplement shop, I was like, oh, well, let's try it because he was going through, I think, exams at the time. So I'm like, oh, I'll try it. And I'll even measurably be like, okay, let's see if I can find improvements. Now this thing costs like $70. And I noticed zero difference, like literally nothing. I was like, wow, this is like useless. Now, not to say that those products don't work, because perhaps they do for specific people, but I think with brain supplementation, it can be so touchy to like find one that even really works for you. And like I genuinely say, just like listening to music would probably put you in a better supplemental like state than having some of those things. So that was just my take on them. I just didn't think they worked at all. You know, some people supplement with what are they, like pesos, whatever it's called. You know, in like the US, a lot of people who want to go, they're in college and they want to take exams and they're like, oh, we'll supplement with like the Ritalin and stuff like that to like really be dialed in and focused. So you can do that. That like Ritalin, if you take Ritalin, if you don't have ADHD, you're going to dial in into whatever the hell you're doing.
For sure.
Can you do that naturally? Very well. I mean, you can. And it does supplement that way. But then here's the other side. So supplements, right, they are an enhancement. And with a lot of them, they do have some side effects, right? Whether it's from the low end to like the really extreme, like, okay, this is going to be bad. So let's take creatine. So creatine, if I'm going to recommend for people, right, I'd say if you don't take protein and creatine and you can afford it and it's something that fits within your lifestyle, definitely take them. Awesome for you. You know, literally creatine just helps supplement, you know, the ATP cycle within your body. So it just, in very short terms, helps you have more energy when you're working out. That's it. Like in a very simple way. It also naturally found in a lot of red meat, but you don't get enough grams of creatine when you have it. But creatine has a side effect. It actually bloats you in the way that it holds a lot of water, right? Yep. So that's a simple side effect. It doesn't really affect you in like a much more extreme way than that. If you have a lot of it, you know, that's why generally they say, you know, take it away when you're doing like a bodybuilding competition in the last couple of weeks beforehand, because you'll hold a lot of water with it, right? Side effects. But then you could be having like major side effects with like a really strong pre-workout. Like imagine someone having a pre-workout and you're like, oh, I really needed these things to have like 400 milligrams of caffeine. Right? Yeah. Now 400 milligrams, a normal cup of coffee is 65 milligrams, right? Yeah. So if you're taking like 8 cups of coffee, like in one go, right? Yeah. So first of all, your heart's not going to like you. Yeah, it's
like
you're going to
people have had heart attacks, right?
Yeah, people have had heart attacks with this stuff. They, you know, you can, in essence, your endogenous system, I think. I probably said it wrong. Who cares? Yeah. It just overloads, right? You can overload it and pretty much have like caffeine like overload to the point where just having any caffeine, your body just doesn't feel it anymore, and you're just wrecking your body, right? So that's a pretty massive side effect, and generally no one follows this. But the general thing is when you have a pre-workout, you have it for a month, then you take a month off or like half a month off, and then you have it again. Nobody does that.
Yeah,
Everybody just
I've
has
never
pre-workout every single time. I don't even do that, but I have like a third of a scoop, right? So I have like barely any caffeine really in it. But yeah, I wouldn't even do it. Like no one would just really do it. So that can become dangerous for people. Imagine getting, I had a friend who ended up being like using a gram of caffeine per day, and backing off that level, like you just have massive headaches, and all of a sudden it's not just a supplement anymore. It's like a dependency.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like a drug. You're dependent as a drug to it, as opposed to just being like, oh, here's a little enhancement. Now it's like, now you're negative. You're negatively impacted for not having it. So yeah, you can get down that path. One of the other ones I wanted to chat to you was, if you're actually having balances, having supplements, what are those check and balances of like when you should have it or when you shouldn't have it?
The verification process.
So one of the things was like, first and foremost, is it safe? So if you're thinking about taking your supplement, I don't care from a natural, enhanced, you're looking at steroids, whatever it is, just figure out, is this supplement safe for me? Like, is it safe? Should I be taking it? There's a lot of products in the pre-workout market, actually, in the pre-workout space, where they cycle through a lot of new things. And a lot of them can become banned in particular countries just for whatever purpose. Maybe because an extra amount of that is an unfair percentage of extra space. But I think a lot of swimmers have been picked up because they've had pre-workout before a race, got drug tested, been picked up for whatever, Shawanda or something else, and being like, oh, no, you've been doping with pre-workout. So first of all, is it safe that you can consume and it's not going to like detrimentally impact your health? But then also, is it permitted in your sport? Yeah. So, if you're actually a sporting person, or, I don't think they do this. They check drug testing for exams.
No,
but
I doubt it.
But they do drug tests for things like, if you're in the police force, you can get random checks. Military, you can do random checks. Mining. So, I don't imagine that extra pre-workout is going to get you fired. But there might be some things that actually get picked up in like normal drug tests that'll get shown up on there. So, if it's permitted in your area of work or sport, and is it actually safe for you? Are you going to die if you take like really heavy pre-workouts? You can. Like that is a thing.
Yeah.
Like beware of that. Don't go wild and be like, oh, I'm going to have crazy amounts of pre-workout, or have pre-workouts and then have 2 cans of E and go out. Like you might die. Yeah. That's a genuine thing.
I think a general rule of thumb for verifying something, if you should be taking it or not, as well, is the process of checking that it's actually working. Because it's hard to say, because obviously the mental space of, oh, this feels like it's working, and the placebo effect is very strong. And if it's a really good story, we talked about this on another podcast recently, but if there's someone selling a really good story and you believe it 100%, it's going to have some good effects on you. You need to dive fully into it. Like you need to believe it 100%, and you'll get these really amazing effects. So, I would be saying, like, if you're spending as much money as you were saying, like
$1,000 a month,
$1,000 a month, if you're spending that much, I would then be saying, okay, maybe if you're spending that much, you should probably be spending like 10% of that on getting tests to see how scientifically verify. So blood tests to measure your levels of whatever, or doing, it depends on what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to cut, then maybe you should be getting like the body mass index, full body scan, whatever they are, to measure where the mass is on your body, where the fat is, how it's going, where it's disappearing. And so, I think that's a general rule of thumb. So if you're just buying like a little bit of protein, you probably don't need to be getting going to the hospital every week and testing, how's my muscle mass going?
Yeah, whatever. Lean body mass levels or anything. No, probably not.
One of the other things you were talking about then, where's my notes? How do you decide between, so you're saying like what's safe. How do you decide what is safe in the short term and long term? And I guess in the general rule of, is there one end goal and focus, and then how do you adjust between competing priorities? So for example, steroids. And I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Steroids are very useful for the short term, because you can put on a tremendous amount of weight and muscle mass, and you'll look better, you'll feel better, whatever. And if so, especially if you're doing it for a competition with something in mind, the best thing for it. But
long term,
big but, it messes up your testosterone system. So what are your thoughts on like steroids in general? Do you think?
I think the thing is thinking from a supplemental perspective, you want to enhance. So steroids can be like a super enhancement. Like when you think about it, massive enhancement to the particular goal that you're after. So like if, top bodybuilders, right? Everyone knows they're on stuff so that they can get to that point. Fantastic. Short term, there's lots of ways. Like I know people who do all this sort of stuff, and they can be healthy in the particular short term. And if you take all the precautions now, like we're talking about with creatine, like some things have negative, connotations to it. Some of them have like negative adverse effects. They'll have it like multiplied by many multiples. So it's like, okay, then you got to start doing other things that sit around it to be safe. Short term, sure, it's a thing you can do. Even the short term though, it's probably going to impact so from a male perspective, even female perspective, right? If you're taking exogenous testosterone, which is going to just like pump up the amount of testosterone your body creates, sure, it's able to sustain that in the short term. When it comes off it, then just as you would be with like a pre-workout, you're going to have negative sort of base levels than what you were before you even took it. Yep. So then there's two ways you could go about it. You could just like if it was pre-workout or if you're taking steroids, right? It just depends on like how high it goes and how low it comes down. You can then naturally let it sort of assess and come back to a sort of an almost basal level and leave it at that. Now, yes, short term, I think that's like the best way. Long term, where people can get really stuffed up is, again, whether it's steroids, whether it's pre-workouts, whatever, you get to a point where you just like either abuse it or use it too much that when you don't go onto it, you essentially just drop below your normal basal levels and you cannot get it back naturally anymore. Like that is it. You've just stuffed yourself up and you have to keep taking exogenous testosterone or supplemental things to get you just to even be at the base level. So stepping back, say for pre-workout, you can get to a point where you have so much pre-workout and the caffeine just like smashes all your systems that then you're tired every day. Like when you're not taking it, you're tired every day. You have to have cups of coffee or whatever, and it'll take you a really, really long time to get back to normal. Same thing goes with, steroids. If you're smashing it for a long time and you're like cruising, what they call it, like you're smashing it, you're still taking it, you smash it again, you're still taking it. Like you can get to a point where it's like, without it, you just you gain all this weight, you get super fat, you hold all this water, you feel like crap, and you have to take it again to be able to get to it. And some people never recover from it. So I think short term, to everyone's body, do whatever you want, right? It's fine.
Exactly.
But just be totally in your mind, what are the adverse effects that you can get from it?
Yeah. So, and even while on it, we've all heard of roid rage. So with that, so much testosterone getting through your system, you become naturally more aggressive, and you're going to treat people differently if you're more aggressive. Yeah.
One of the ways I was thinking about from a supplements perspective. So looking back, I was like, okay, there was a point in time when I could have all these supplements and it was all readily available. And now I look at what I take, like protein and creatine, right? I almost think about it, what's a way I could recommend to someone, how many supplements should I be taking? What should I be taking? It should be something that you could take. And my example is that you could keep up your supplementation intake if you were traveling.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, and I also have like say fish oil. And I have it like just whenever I literally feel like getting it, right? So for me, I think about it from that simple perspective. If I was to travel for 6 months around South America or Europe or something like that, I can take protein, I can take creatine with me, or I could buy it there, and I can take fish oil. That's like you can buy it at whatever place you want to buy it at. And those are really easy to just in a shaker, you can mix it all up, have it, drink down your fish oil, easy. Like there's no problem with having it. If you need pre-workout, intra-workout, when you think about it, you're like, if I'm traveling to New Zealand for 2 months and you want to train or you want to keep up your fitness and whatnot, or your supplementation, and you're like, I need CLAs, acetyl-L-carnitine, protein, creatine, pre-workout, intra-workout, sleep powder, casein, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like think about it. Are you really going to take all that? No. Okay. Well, what's your really basic things that you like? What is your must-have there if you're really going to be supplementing? And you go, okay, well, probably only need this and maybe pre-workout. Okay, cool. And kind of helps you decide what it is. The other one, here's a little tip for people from a pre-workout perspective. because I found this about myself. So I really enjoyed pre-workouts, and I started to learn that it wasn't so much for the caffeine, because I can have a coffee like 5 minutes before sleeping and sleep.
Yeah.
Not an issue. Like, I don't think it affects me at all. But what I really enjoyed was the flavor, right? And you can trick yourself into this because a placebo style, right? So I would start doing this, and I've tested it out and measured it, and it was like works a treat. One day you'll have the pre-workout, like say on Monday, you have a pre-workout. Awesome, you have a good workout. Tuesday, instead of the pre-workout, I would add cordial to my water, right? Of the same flavor that I want, of the same flavor that I was having the pre-workout. So it's like raspberry, right? Yeah. So I just make like 2 spoonfuls of cordial into like a big jug of water and drink it. And there was almost like no difference. Like there was maybe a little difference, a little bit of energy, but apart from that, nothing else, because it was the flavor. And I remember doing that for a month straight, just to be like, oh, just have cordial, let's just see. And it was like, it barely changed anything. It was just like, oh, it's just nice flavor. So now, not that I have it here, but now my go-to would be like, if I was to recommend to someone having pre-workout, if you're really thinking about it for energy, it'd be like, get a pre-workout. It costs whatever, $40. Figure out the flavor, and it normally gives you like a month's worth. Only put in like a third of a scoop or half a scoop, so it lasts you 2 or 3 months. So that's a kind of a good price for a little bit of energy. And then mix a little bit of cordial that is the same flavor as it. Amazing, like, right? Because
supplementing with cordial.
Yeah, man. But from this is like a training perspective for people. You can get deep down into rabbit holes why that helps, right? Sugars do help when you're intra-workout. Essentially, just drives in from an energy creation. So many more things you could talk about that. But yeah, that's my little recommendation to people. Sure. Try it out.
My one, and I think only time I've ever had pre-workout was actually with you drinking.
Yeah.
And this attests to Juan's love of the flavor, because we did I'm not sure if it was a King's Cup, but we mixed vodka with pre-workout with like maybe like Sprite or something, some sort of drink with it. And or maybe not even that. Maybe it was just vodka
and pre-workout.
Pre-workout.
What a shot.
But yeah, that's the one and only time I've ever actually had a pre-workout. So
there you go. Yeah.
What I wanted to talk about was the amount of different supplements out there. And is there a way of deciding, and this isn't just, so we've been mostly talking about fitness wise, but for the whole health gamut, there is an insane amount. You can have wolfsbane, you can have, like, if you just look at the different type of mushrooms that people have on their websites and stuff like that. There's an insane amount, insane amount. And so with like quality control of that, because one of the things I've heard is the way they actually mix these supplements, and is what I got from the Joe Rogan was he was saying a lot of the reasons those athletes are getting caught for, doping or whatnot because they took a pre-workout is because most of these places is like in China where they just have these huge vats and they'll just pour in all this different stuff, mix it around, and then that's this one company's supplement. Then they'll empty the vat and then, maybe give it a clean. And then another company will have an order. And so, you've got creatine in one vat, and then, this other one saying, oh, we don't use creatine at all, but it's on the like linings of the walls.
You're like there's like residuals in there, traces of it.
So how do you decide, I guess, like between companies, what is a trustworthy company? And
here's an interesting here's an interesting one. So one is generally if the company doesn't call that out as part of their marketing, then there's probably an issue there, right? That's normally the number one thing. So most companies, let's talk about protein, right? There's been a big issue years ago, they probably still do it, where you buy protein, you think about like, oh, this protein from America is like $40 a kilo. This one from New Zealand, $70 a kilo. Oh, much cheaper. I'll just buy that one, right? Yeah. Sure. Now, I can't even remember exactly which one of the companies was, but a lot of them were getting picked up that they were inflating the protein numbers. So it'd say at the back, this protein gives you 24 grams of protein, right? But 16 of those grams were actually from nitrate buildup thing. So they weren't actual protein molecules. They were just they were manually adding extra nitrates to it that could technically be called as proteins, but didn't actually act as proteins in your body. So you were really paying for like a really substandard quality product. Now, a lot of supplement companies will normally call that out to you specifically. So like in a general thing with some supplements, if it is made in Australia and New Zealand, it's normally quite high quality because we do have really stringent rules where how it can be made, how it should be processed, etc., etc.
What you can say about it.
Yeah, whereas again, like you're saying, in China, some parts of the US, man, you don't even have to do those checks at all. Even when it comes to raw products, it can be really weird. So again, ATP Science, they've got their own podcast if you want to listen to them. Very deep scientific stuff. But Jeff and Matt, they talk about they grab like lots of raw produce to then create their own products, right? And they go through all the actual quality controls that they would go through in Australia and everywhere else. But the actual, even raw products that they were getting in stock to use and create their products, they would do quality checks on that to make sure that it was what it was. And not like all the time, but a lot of the time, it wasn't even high enough quality to be used into their products, and they would send it back and be like, no, well, we actually want high quality products. So it can be really difficult because even though the company themselves might say we're really pure and we do all these things and whatever, if they're then not checking the quality of the raw product that they get, they could still just be like whatever else. So I'd actually recommend just look at their marketing to see if they do call out that they check like the quality control of their own things, of their own creation, but also potentially the quality checks on the the actual product that they bring in to create their supplements. Yeah. Sometimes hard to see, but I guess that's one way you can approach it. Others is quick Googles around. You can see which ones are the bad ones. It's almost sometimes it's not how can you find the really good quality ones is go and find what the bad quality ones and avoid those ones. Yeah.
If you're interested just in the topic in general, there's a book called I think it's Poorly or Cheaply Made in China. Made in China. It's a whole book about how when China was opening up, they tons of US people were coming in and seeing the opportunity of like super cheap labor, access to basically all the minerals, everything they needed.
Yep.
And the Chinese were making like these absolute shit products. They had like quality control was the worst thing that they had, and so they would just there's these funny things about, well, it's sort of funny in hindsight, but like toothpaste companies getting absolutely just having these all sorts of weird chemicals in it. Johnson and Johnson, I think, got hit by them as well because they used tons of stuff.
I do think I read that.
Yeah. So that was an interesting one. If you don't have any more, I wanted to.
Yeah, I don't have any more. I do have a question in particular for you, and it was so we're talking supplements now. Let's go into the realm of hypothetical. Theoretical.
That's good.
Now, if there was a supplement that you could take, right, which would, let's say, double your mental capacity, mental processing ability, and also double your physical capacity. So physical being from a running perspective, swimming, breathing, the ability to sleep well, right? First of all, one, would you take it? And two, if you would take it, how much would you be prepared to pay for something like that?
I wouldn't be one of the first triers of it.
Yep.
Let's put it that way. I would be
let's say it works. It's been validated. It works. I don't know how they've proven it, but they've proven it.
Okay, so I'd be sort of thinking like for something that's as insane as that, I would want to be seeing like 20 years, like someone taking it steadily for 20 years is probably what my baseline would be. Okay. So then I'd be like, look, I could get like 20 years of goodness out of this. That would take me to like 48. You know what? If I'm going to start to mentally decline and all sort of stuff, getting into that age as well. So physically decline. So, maybe it's worth on that side. So that's sort of my stringent level of what I would need. Quality control, 20 years. Good. Probably at least. And I'd want to be seeing what the people were like who were taking this as well. Because just because your mental capacity, whatever that means, is like, so maybe, I don't know, maybe they can do maths 2 times as quick.
Yeah. They can read twice as fast.
They can hold competing things in their mind. So, balancing priorities twice as good or with twice as many inputs and whatnot.
Yep.
And same with the physical stuff. Like all of that, I would want to see how these people behave as well, because just because you have all those things doesn't make you a better person. In essence, maybe everyone who does that becomes a raging asshole. Then it would be like, you know what? I don't think I need to. How much I would pay for that? Yeah, I'd be prepared to pay a fair bit. I
Yeah.
think.
Okay.
In terms of money, I don't know. It'd depend how you take it as well. Like, is it a pill
daily
that I
daily
have to
pill.
take? Is it
Daily pill.
daily pill? Is it like this big as well? Do I have to?
No,
Where does it go? Is
it's a fish oil size.
Okay,
Fish oil
yeah.
size. One single fish
So it's
oil.
not going up the bum.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly
You'd
don't know.
you'd pay relatively good money for
It
it.
would be more than anything I've ever paid for other supplements, probably
Right.
combined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, see, I thought about this question and I was writing it down. I'm like, at first glance, you look at it first. And it's like, oh, that would be awesome. But then I kept thinking about it. I'm like, actually, no, I wouldn't take it, nor would I be prepared to pay for it. And
Okay.
I think the reasoning behind this, everyone gets, and this is a short-term versus long-term thinking. So short-term, you think, well, double capacity in this mentally and double in physically. Now, you think, even if it's completely fine, no side effects, completely fine. Talk about a physical side. Sure, you're double as strong, but then there's all these little hidden things that you don't think about. Like, okay, now because you're double as strong, it doesn't really mean that you're going to grow twice as much if you're trying to get bigger. Your joints are going to go to crap. Like, sure, just because you're getting double as strong, is it really going to mean that you can imagine, okay, your double is like fortitude for your joints, perhaps, or something like that, right? So maybe that doesn't even matter. But if you're double as strong in everything, you kind of move away from being a mortal too far.
Okay.
You go too far to be almost unrelated to the normal human species, right? You kind of just lose complete sight. And I think losing sight can make you like an asshole, can make you someone just unrelatable to anyone else. So you could go and talk to someone and be like, oh, I won the 100 meters sprint in the Olympics, right? And people can interview and talk to you and whatever. But all of a sudden, it's not Kyrin Downs that did it. It's, he took this pill, so that's how I won it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it removes you as a human being. It's the pill. And I also think two things. One, if that such a thing existed, the company would have such a monopoly and power over people, because imagine not taking it anymore and now you're like your normal self. You would feel so horrible that like imagine you were like running really quickly, you were like being strong, you were reading really well, you were going well, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're not giving you anymore, or it's like 10 times the price. They would have such a control on your life to make you feel horrible that you become so dependent on it. So I think at short sight, you talk about it, I'm like, it would be such a good thing. But I can think of so many negatives long term, or things that could control you, that I'm like, oh no, I wouldn't go down that path at all. Yeah. And that's where it sort of, so the question why I said that is, if you think about it from a strength perspective or a fitness perspective, steroids, like people could take steroids. Like that's the thing that could almost double your strength, double your speed. Now, not in all capacities, but there's dependencies. You get really dependent. Like if you're not taking it, like you can't go on a holiday really realistically with this stuff unless you're like some expert at like moving drugs in between locations and stuff. And even then you're like dependent on timing and things, kind of like a supplement, insulin, right? So you can take insulin for growth just because it's like you're injecting in essence, the way the insulin was. I'm not going to talk about how it actually works, but you could have that. But if you don't take it right, you die.
Yeah, right.
You will die. That's it. Like if you take it and you don't have particular sugars and everything afterwards, you're dead. So imagine doing that and being dependent on it. Like, geez, almost your life is dependent on it now. So, I'd go with I'd be like, but it'd be a hard pass. I'd be like, no, I'll leave that be.
Okay. Yeah, what I wanted to end on was some stories of people going too far in either direction. So either supplementing too much,
or supplementing not much at all.
Not much at all, going too natural.
Yep.
And actually, if you're interested of the word natural, I actually just last night listened to this podcast of Alan Levinovitz on the Joe Rogan show, and it was really interesting. He had some good insights into, I suppose, the whole what's natural and what's unnatural.
Yep.
And yeah, just really interesting. So if you're interested in that topic,
check that.
I would recommend it. So one thing, I have a story, and I've told it on here maybe before, was when I was in Mexico, and one of the people I met there in the hostel was just a party animal. Like he would take all sorts of drugs, all sorts of things.
Yep.
And one night he combined like a plethora of cocaine, weed, caffeine, alcohol, and maybe something else, like another pill I think he might have taken that night. And yeah, he had like full mental breakdown.
I was going to say, did he have a good time?
Maybe
in the short term.
maybe in the couple of hours leading up to a full breakdown where he essentially went crazy. Like, tried attacking his friend, tried attacking randoms in this place that he was staying. Police got called in. They took him to a cell. He was too crazy for the cell, so they took him to a hospital where he got strapped into a bed. And then, this being Mexico, they just let him out the next day. And so he was just like wandering the streets naked when his group of friends like found him eventually after like following all these traces. So that's one instance of someone who's
taking it a bit too far.
I don't have that many of people. I suppose the ones I have heard of people being like too natural, like trying to cut too much stuff. And this one I can't verify, but I have heard often enough that I think it's true, which is vegan people feeding their cats a vegan lifestyle and their cat basically dying because they need meat, or being like super malnourished because they need to be too. And I think the same for kids as well. If you're too radically like vegan or too radically whatever, it doesn't even have to be vegans. It can just be like people who say, no, that's not
Just
natural.
eat meat.
I'm not going to take it. Yeah. You can get some real deficiencies.
Oh, certainly. And I mean, it's contextualized, right? So vitamin D, right? You can get it from the sun, but if you're in Iceland, in the north of Iceland, and there's periods of time where the sun doesn't come out for 4 months. Yeah. Well, you probably want to supplement with that. And it's not like, and you can't say to them like, oh no, don't worry, go get the sun. They'll be like, we don't see the sun for 4 months. Yeah. So, it's kind of like, it's a moot point. It just depends on what the context is. I think I wanted to end up with like, from a supplements perspective, remember it's enhancing your natural self, your base level self. So if you're trying to supplement to try and, shortcut the fact that you're not sleeping correctly, or you're just not training, or you're trying to buy fat burners, but you're eating like crap, like, don't do that. Stop doing that. Just fix that base level first. Spend the money there, right? Spend the money on a personal trainer, good food, good sleep, whatever you have to. Once you've got that base level sort of requirement set, then you can look at your supplement level. Yeah. But until you have that set up, don't even bother. Don't even bother with protein if you are eating like no protein anyways throughout the day.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, unless it's like an extreme version that you needed for whatever purpose, it's just, you just can't eat through your work day. You can't eat for whatever. You have to drink it in like a liquid state. Sure, maybe there's those exceptions, but try and settle up your base level first as a human and then go to the next step. So
unless your doctor tells you. Then listen to them.
Or listen to me, somebody's doctor. So anyways, good stuff. That has been supplements. Thank you very much.
Very good. Very good.
The fitness
challenge,
the yearly challenge. Well, I'm going to say you got no points still, given the fact that the finger's improving. But
look, I'm feeling better and I'm putting in the work. I did a L-sit for 43 seconds and my next one is 50 seconds.
Okay, so, getting close.
Yeah, I'm improving. I think my PB on those is like 44. So I'm, close to a PB, which is good.
Nice.
But next month. Let's talk next month.
Ooh, okay. I'm actually getting close to in a few fronts. So still I'm on 49 points. And there's a couple, particularly the snatch goal and the handstand goal. It's getting closer. Okay. Today was a new PB on handstands, which is nice.
What'd you get?
But 29. Whoa. 1 second off.
Oh, how'd you feel?
Yeah. It could be like it's 29.2, but I was like, no, it's flat 29 seconds. Yeah. I was like, dang. So anyways, it's getting close. It is getting closer. A lot more control. And that was after a full workout of kind of like shoulders and chest. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's coming close.
Nice.
It's not this month, next month.
For sure.
Excellent. Now, where can people find us? I'm going to give them a little bit of a...
Where to supplement the mere mortals.
Where to get enhanced by us. So if you're listening to us by audio, fantastic. You can hear the silky smooth tones of Kyrin down and my brutal aggressive tones of Juan.
Assertive.
But you can also find us on the tube. You can see our videos. I'll be looking at the camera right now. You'll be looking into my eyes, my guns. Kyrin's obviously misshaped body given the fact that he doesn't enhance at all. But you can find us all over the place. Instagram, all the social platforms you can see us. TikTok, we're there most times. Or unless it gets banned and then we're not there anymore. We'll be coming out with quite a few things as we're talking about or we've been alluding to. We're going to be a little bit more constant in your feed. So subscribe, like on all the platforms that you catch us, and you will be finding yourself improving beyond a mere mortal.
Supplement your mere mortal experience.
Exactly. That is it from now. Juan out.
Kyrin out.